Okay, so I think we're going. It's been a long time and all the settings have changed since the last time I did this. So, fingers crossed. Now it's showing that I've got sound coming up, so I hope everyone can hear me. Let's go like this. Okay, all right, cool. If I'm just talking into the wilderness and you can't hear me, let me know. Of course, you didn't hear me say that. Ah! Okay, I'm back. I'm back, guys. I finally submitted the last of my assignments due for university for the entire year, and I don't have to touch another thing for 5 months. 5 months to just use my spare time for fun things like art. So I thought I might spoil myself and treat myself to try out the new Lux Archival paper, which isn't available for sale in Australia yet because we are at the end of the earth and for some reason nothing ever gets to us quickly. So I did have to order this one from Jackson's in the UK. What did it cost me? It wasn't cheap, but you know, it's not the most expensive thing I've ever bought art-wise. It was like £32, which came to 61 Australian dollars. But there's 10 sheets in the pack, so you know, $6 a sheet. I've paid well and truly more than that. So, what is it? 8 by 10 inches, which is a size I don't normally work in. I usually go for the A4s and the A3s because it's easier to find frames for my work in that size in Australia. But 8 by 10, that should be pretty easy too. It's pretty standard. All right, so first impressions. Okay, I suppose is the first thing. The first thing I thought when I saw the package was that this stuff it says that it's bright white, so I was expecting a really, really bright white, and I know that it's, but really being marketed as a bright white, but it's not quite. This is a sheet of printer paper, bright white, and you can see there's a really, there's a good difference there between the two. I don't like working on a really, really bright piece of paper. I find it really jarring to my eyes, especially with the studio lights going, everything just being white, white, white on white. By the time I've worked on that for very long, my eyes are really zoinked. So having it a little bit off white is something I quite like. I usually work, this is a piece of the Arches paper, and you can see it's got a little bit, hopefully the terrible little webcam is picking up the details a little bit better, but you can see that's got a lot more warmth to it than the just a bright white paper. So far, the colour for me is a tick. I am surprised at how sandy it is. Now I've got a couple of pieces here. This is a piece of Colour Fix. And I've always figured this has a decently rough texture, like it feels rough to the touch. And here I've got a piece of Pastel Matte, which isn't rough at all. Like, it does have a texture, but it's quite smooth. It doesn't have that rough feeling at all. This feels like a sandpaper. Like, it genuinely has a sandy sort of feel to it. So I'm interested to see how that works as we go. I'm thinking it's going to work a lot like other sanded papers where I can put lights over darks and they should be able to show up rather nicely. That's one of the best things about sanded paper. I'm probably not going to have to put down a lot of pigment to get things to move because the surface picks up a lot of pigment. So, like, I think I should have fun with this. I like working on sanded textures, so, yeah, we'll see. I really like how this paper feels. Like, it's heavy, it's got a weight to it. It feels like it's got some substance, like, but it's not cardboardy. That's kind of hard to sort of quantify there, but it does feel like a really quality kind of surface to work on. It feels like it's not going to buckle, or so I'm going to be able to sort of like erase and do things like that pretty easily. I just got graphite all over it. But I feel like I'm going to be able to beat this up a fair bit without, you know, having pages being buckled or messed around with. So I'm going to have a little play with that. Now, I have drawn up a picture of a piece that I'm going to start, like a full piece that I'm going to work on. So I've got my line work down here. Now, this is the first place that I've struggled, in that I did struggle to transfer my drawing onto this. I'll show you. Okay. So on any finished artwork, I'm never ever going to try and draw my original drawing onto this paper, because I can't draw like that. Everything I have ever drawn comes in many messy layers before I get to a nice finished drawing. I'm just not that magical, and I don't think many people are. So I always transfer using transfer paper and this wonderful graphite stuff. So my first issue was that it was a little difficult to transfer my image on. So okay, here's a piece of the arches. And I'll make sure I've got this the right way round. See, that transfers rather nicely. I can really easily make out I haven't had to press too hard with that on the arches paper. But on this one, it didn't pick up as well. Like, I can't see that at all. So, right way round, do it right way round. I've got it the right way around, yeah. Okay, so let's press a bit harder. And I've really had to press to get that down. Which isn't a problem, it's just, yeah. It just meant that as I got this down, I had to re-establish a couple of lines. And then, when I've erased it, I usually try to erase these things, by sort of lifting, but I've really gotten a really strong imprint off this, and it's sort of, I can, print it around the place. So I have struggled a little bit to get the line work down. And erasing isn't as easy as I thought it might be. A lot of the other sanded papers is really easy to erase. Like, you just lift it up. But this is being it's gripping it a bit more. That's all right. I don't usually erase that much when I'm actually working with my colour pencils. Usually I just keep building up over the top if I make a mistake. But with the line work, I really want to make sure that's right, like before I start, so I'm not losing track. Anyway, I suppose it's about time I put some colour on this. Okay. Feel free to shout out, guys, and ask any questions. I've got a whole bunch of mediums around here. If I've got it in this room and you want to see me throw it at this piece of paper to see what happens, by all means, ask. I'll see what I can do. We may as well all answer as many questions as we can here, so by all means, jump in. My guess is going to be that the Polychromos pencils are going to be the go with this. Most sanded papers, I need somewhere to put this on my desk. Most sanded papers seem to work really well with the Polychromos. Because they don't, well, the waxier paper, the waxier pencils tend to like gum up the paper a little bit in a funny kind of ball texture kind of way. Hard to explain. But these go on nice and smoothly generally. So let me pick a colour that I like. Prussian blue. It's one of my favourites. Make sure that I'm in the screen here. Might go this way, so I'm facing things a little bit nicer. I've got more screen here, yeah. Okay, so ooh, it's a little funny underneath my hand there. I can feel that rubbing against the skin of my hand, my arm there. That's funny. Okay. Oh, super easy to get the colours down. Wow. Okay. Let me compare that with that. Oh, big difference. Okay, big difference. That has just pulled the colour off that pencil so easily. Okay, cool. Nice. I do have a fair bit of dust kicked up from that, so I might need... I might just borrow a brush to kick that off. Oh, it's going to do that, isn't it? Okay. When it comes to sanded papers, I generally don't do anything where I need to keep a nice clean background because of the smudging. That was pretty significant smudging. There's going to be, yeah, there's a lot of pigment on there, isn't there? This might be a little difficult to control. I know this has been created with the idea of using the textured fixative and the powder blender. It's not really something I want to try out. I mean, I probably will because it's an art supply and I like playing with new art supplies. But I'm not that keen on the idea, basically because a lot of the pieces that I see done in that style with the powder blender end up looking like pastel images, which to me just sounds like a really long-winded way of getting the same result as I could get with my pastel pencils. But like I said, I'll probably try it anyway because why not? Okay, so that's gone down really easily. How are these colours going to blend together on the surface? I'm assuming I'm going to be able to go over the top with the whites. Yeah, that showed up really well. That's the Polychromos white. Okay. Well, okay, now I'm curious in that I wonder if I can smudge this. Okay, so I really should have a tool to hand or something, but I'm not sure where that is. Okay, let me just see. I'm going to use just a cotton swab to see how far I can push this around. Yeah, that's just shredding that. That's not going to work. Soft tool. Okay, so this is one of the pan pastel soft tools designed to push the pan pastel around. So, okay, and I'm losing a lot off that surface. It's picking it up a lot, which is probably where the textured fixative comes into play, where I would then stick a layer on the top there, settle it down, and then stick another layer on top and build it up in layers like that. So that's very interesting. That's moving very easily on its own though, so I can't see where the powder blender would be useful there because it's, I mean, it's moving on its own. It was not hard to move that at all. So if I put down something even slipperier, that might get really interesting to control. Okay. when I've moved that white sort of stayed there though. I've got that line there. I wonder if I can sort of do that thing where I really fill the tooth. Go over the top. Okay, so that's a technique that I often use with the Arches paper, in where that I'll put those lines that I want to keep really crisp down first with the white, so that I can't, you know, get more colour into the tooth of the paper, and it tends to preserve my whites a fair bit. White, yeah. After really sort of putting that down, that doesn't want to move very much, the white. I wonder if I really get that in there. Okay, so I can be a little bit more forceful and get this stuff to stay in place. Okay, cool. I suppose the next question is, how crazy are things going to get when I add the odorless mineral spirits? I have a feeling that by dissolving this pencil, it's going to go a long way, because that has put down so much pigment off this that I think getting it wet is going to be just like, poof, it's going to just fly. Yeah, see, Rhonda, I agree. A lot of the time if I want a pastel look, I'm going to use the pastels, because it's easier and I've got them, and it's a very easy process. You just put them down. But with the whole system being, you know, layering and setting, and it feels like a complicated way of getting the same result. But maybe with that layering and things being set in place, you end up with a more archival image than with pastels. You know how pastels sort of tend to smudge and smear and move very easily over time? Maybe with the colour pencils and that layering, you get that really nice soft effect without that degradation over time. I'm wondering. I think that's probably the real benefit to that. But yeah, you do get a very pastel-y look. I'm going to find a paintbrush here. Excuse me. What I should have done is setting this up was to sort of plan out in advance, but I just stuck this sheet down and went, I'm going for it. Okay. I have got my odorless mineral spirits. If you guys have not used one of these things for your odorless mineral spirits, get yourself on Amazon. They're super cheap. It's a nail polish remover jar, and essentially you pump the mineral spirits to the top, take it off, any of the excess flows back down. It doesn't evaporate out of here. So it's designed for acetone. This thing's fantastic. It has saved me so much. I rarely have to refill it. I use so little. It's fantastic. Love it. Okay, so I've got a lot of pigment down there. I feel like I should probably take a little bit off. This is going to go a long way. Ooh, okay. That's got a really nice kind of washy effect. Yeah, okay. Oh, I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Let's just get my little sheet of paper here to just clean that off. Let me just compare that to how that works on the Colour Fix. I'll use the same sort of amount, so that, because that was quite a wet brush, I was expecting that to sort of go. Yeah, that's a little chunkier. Like, it's not it's not sort of blending out smoothly. It's staying very put, whereas that just kind of flowed. That's not bad. It's not bad. Okay, I'll try that with a very, very dry brush. Try a different colour just to keep things interesting. Get rid of the blue off it. Probably made that more difficult than it needed to be. Okay, dry brush, dry brush. You can see how very little's coming off there. That's a dry brush. It should still move it though. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that works. That works. I like the way that surface absorbs that the mineral spirits. With the Color Fix and something like the Pastel board, it tends to, the odorless mineral spirits tend to sort of sit on the top and puddle, which tends to take a little bit extra to get it to blend out nicely. But that's kind of just sucky. I did not expect that. That's nice. Dry brush. Dry brush. Yeah, that's... I don't know if this terrible camera is going to pick this one up. But it just does seem to go nicer on that. Just more even, more easily. So I'll call that one a win. Okay, so that's definitely going to be able to be used. Dry that off. All right, so my next question is, how is this going to work with the pan pastels? I really have been enjoying using the pan pastels with my pastel mat, just because it's a really fast, easy background, just like, and sometimes I don't want to spend ages on just a solid color background. So let's get that out and see how this goes. I've already noticed that it shredded that soft tool very, very easily. So, yeah, hang on, I'll see if I can you see how that really chewed into that very quickly? Let's get a fresh one. Get on there. Stick with the blue because I like the blue. Oh, that went on beautifully. Yeah, that's nice. I've seen a lot of people using this paper with pastels, which is pretty similar to how most people use pastels. I've worked really gently with that so I don't shred this too much. See how these colours blend together. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Yep, that works. I am still going to be able to go over the top of that. That's not going to be packing that in too much, is it? Ooh, why does that all look grey on there? That's actually a bright green. Interesting. Let me just check the other camera. Okay, let's not use that colour on this screen. This is actually a lovely lime green, and on my screen that's coming up like a black shifting blob from beyond. So do I have a chroma key or something on this? Hang on. Chroma key. I do. Turn that off. Hey! Okay. So that's how you do that. Now I know which colour to use if I want to black out this background. It's bright yellow green in the Pan Pastel set. There we go. Oh, okay, always time for learning. Alright, so I've put down that layer on there, and I've been able to put colour pencil over the top. I wonder how thick I can go with that. Put down a decent amount. I feel like this is going to take a lot of layers. It's that sanded texture is. Pile it on. Yeah, I think I'm going to be able to build this up for a long, long time. That's fantastic. Pastel pencils. Okay, I've got these guys. Got the old Pit Pastels out. I don't have a huge range of these. I really wish I did because I love working in pastels. That's beautiful. That's very nice. That feels really nice. Where I've lost my sheet of colour fix that I had here. In comparison, like this is with the pastel mat. Oh, sorry, that was an awful sound. That's the colour fix. That felt beautiful to take off. Oh, that's lovely, yes. Enjoying that. I can see why people are using this for pastels. Yeah. That's moving nicely. When I'm using pastels, I like to be able to move everything around. Yeah, I think that's part of their beauty is like with the colour pencils, you put it down and it does what it's told, but with the pastels, you can sort of shift and move things around. Oh, wrong side. Really is shredding that tool though. So I think I think a different method of blending is in order. Okay. Pastels. Excuse me. Everything under the desk. Okay. Ooh, okay, what's I got? Not that one. That one. It's reasonably easy to smudge. Isn't falling off the sheet though. That's nice. Okay. So it's got a bit of grip to it. You can hear how sturdy that paper is by doing that. Cool. All right. Well, the pan pastels are going to work. That's fantastic. Happy with that. I might see how she feels with some of the waxier pencils. Let's see. I've got This one is the Derwent Lightfast. That feels alright if I fill it in. It's not as, it doesn't glide as nicely as the Polychromos, but it feels nice. It's not being too, that's quite dry. That's a lot drier than I expected. It's the Luminance. That's not going on anywhere near as nicely though. I don't know if you can see, but that's a bit patchy. What colour's that one? Burnt Sienna. That's not filling in the tooth as well. Even the Derwent Lightfast filled that one in a bit nicer. Let's see if it's just that colour. Which one's this one? Light Aubergine? No, that's not filling it in anywhere near as nicely. Okay. Well, that's surprising because I would have thought that the Derwent Lightfast would have worked just as well. The Luminance would have worked as well as the Lightfast because they're very similar in texture. But the Derwents have definitely got the upper hand on that. That's the Derwent. Okay. Oh, hang on. How is this going to smudge? That doesn't smudge anywhere near as much as the Polychromos. Alright. Okay, so that I did not expect. I think the Derwent Lightfast worked a little better for that because it stayed where it was put. It smudged some, but it stayed essentially where it was put. Interesting. So this is why we play with these things, because that is not the result I expected. Odorless Mineral Spirits, how's that going to take up that? Oh gosh, that's a pretty colour. Which one's that? That's the Nightshade one, I think. Yeah, that's working really nicely. It's a little bit more solid in colour than the Polychromos too. It's not, it doesn't have quite the same watercolour effect. That's interesting. Okay. I've lost my sheet of paper that I was using to dry everything off with. Uh-oh. How's about the Luminance then? Get that reasonably dry. That pushes in nicely and spreads out nicely. That evens out that colour a lot. Okay. Well, so far I think I prefer this to the Pastel Matte. Because the Pastel Matte has a funny texture. It's not even. It's funny. It's got a... yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Rhonda, I really do think that that Lightfast worked better. This is the Pastel Matte, and you've seen I've used a lot of, if you've been following my channel, you've seen that I've used a lot of the Pastel Matte lately. I really enjoy the way that I can layer the colours with it, but it does take a lot to really fill in the tooth of the paper. And even once you have, like even once it's really packed in there, you've still got, I don't know if I'm going to be able to focus this, there's still a visible texture on that surface. And it's not even, it's patchy. I have had big marks through sheets that show up through the work. This feels very, very even. The tooth fills in so easily, except with the Luminance there. That could save a lot of time, especially if I wanted to use a burnishing technique where I wasn't going to use any of these thinners. It's very, very quick and easy to cover the surface of that paper. Very easy. Wow. Oh, Thank you, Rhonda. I've been a bit slack with the YouTube lately, with the trying to be everyone at every time with work and uni. It's been ridiculous. But like I said, uni's over for the year, so hopefully a lot more videos to come. Yeah, now with the piece that I have drawn up here, I was very much intending to put down the pan pastel and colour over the top with the Polychromos, because I kind of thought it would work a lot like the pastel map, but it's different, very different. I might have to change my entire approach. Cool. I like that. That's fun. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Phone carrying on. Make sure it's not the kids. It's fine. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, it does say that it takes wet mediums as well. Water, alcohol, and OMS resistant, which allows dry and liquid mediums without buckling. So, let's see how far we can take that. I'm not going to use my good watercolour brushes on this, because I have a feeling that nothing good will happen to that. Water. This is quinacridone magenta, a beautiful colour that I have nowhere near enough places to use it. Okay, I actually like the way the watercolour is sitting on that. It's not flowing like it does on watercolour paper. But it went onto that very nicely. And it didn't... Oh, I like that effect. See how that's gonna... Okay. Yeah, I agree. I really like the watercolour on that. That's unexpected. Oh, it's not a watercolour brush. It's not going to pick that up. I probably need some tissue for that to pick up that. I'm not going to touch this with a watercolour brush because those things are expensive. So you know what else might be nice? Is the ink tints. Ooh, yes. 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 Woo! Ink tints. Let's try the watercolor pencil as well. They're in the same container, so let's go for it. What's a color I haven't used yet? Green. Okay, so this is the Derwent ink tints with the apple green colour. I'm going to try it with the block and the pencil. Okay. Not dissolving that pencil too easily. I mean, it's obviously running out. Oh gosh, that's nice. It's not turning into a black hole there now. Yeah, it's taking me a little bit to actually activate that pencil and get it moving, but once it has, that's gorgeous. I like that. Yep. I like that. Let's try it with the block. Okay, that's fantastic. Change colour there, see how they blend. I don't know what colour that is actually. Okay. Did not expect that. How does that work? I've never tried this before. I'm only trying this because I saw some other artists give this a go. How does that work on the colour fix? No, it's not. Now it's showing the texture of the colour fix. There's really mottled pattern in there. That is sinking in really, really beautifully and easily, like into this really nice. But that's not. And it's not, you can see how it's sort of moving around on the, so, okay. Okay, so there's something that's a little bit absorbent about this stuff. I am surprised. Well, while we're here, we'll go watercolor pencil as well. I don't like using the watercolor pencils so much. They don't have the same, they're not as nice as just watercolor. I suck at watercolor, so that's really bad. Because I like the effect of watercolor, but the watercolor pencils just don't have that same pretty transparent effect. Okay, watercolor pencil is a tick. That hasn't buckled paper at all. That's gorgeous. I love that. That is such a nice solid colour with that watercolor pencil though. If I really water that down. Okay, cool. This isn't exactly how I expected this to turn out. Cool. Cool. Come on here, I'll chuck a Prismacolor on it too, why not? Ugh, no, I don't like that. Don't like the Prismacolor on it. It's not, it's doing the same thing that the Luminance is, where it's not going into the paper as well. Where's my, it's sort of sitting on the surface. Maybe because that's just that little bit waxier. Works well with the OMS though. I really like that watercolor. That looks really pretty. Probably because I really like the color, but it is just sitting beautifully on that surface. It's going to be interesting to see how that dries. What else can I throw at this? Oh no, I just stuck that with the OMS into the water. It's all right. Mixing up my paintbrushes. I try to keep my paintbrushes separate so that, you know, this is my colour pencil brush and it only goes into OMS, and my paintbrushes only go into water, and the oil painting brushes only go into oil. Because I'm terrible at looking after my brushes and cleaning them. I am too lazy to do. Okay, so I suppose the next thing I need to find out is how well can I erase these things? Is that dry? How is erasing going to work? Yeah, this is looking like it's going to be a very, very fun surface. With the Derwents, the Derwent has put out a Derwent light fast paper that I'm really curious about. Once again, not available in Australia because we live on the arse end of the world. So, let's try and erase this. So the first thing I'm going to try and do is with a kneaded eraser. Now, usually with the Color Fix, it's pretty easy to lift colour. Like you can get it almost back to bare paper. I think I can really get that in there. Using just an ordinary white eraser is not ideal. It kind of just smudges, but with the kneaded eraser you can really pick it up. So if you decided you don't like something, reasonably easy to remove. So the pastel mat's the same. But how's it going to go with this? Get a clean section. So there's a lot of pencil down there. Oh, it's lifting. Oh, and it's stamping. Okay. So if I need to erase anything, I need to be careful to have a clean section. Okay, that's pretty good. That's acceptable. If I'm going to make a mistake, that gives me a little bit of leeway there. Try it with the... Ooh, sorry, that was an awful sound. Let's try it with this. That works reasonably well. The gumminess from that white eraser is not very nice on the surface though. How's about with something that has already been soaked into the paper a little bit? Let's see with that one's had the OMS on it. It's a pretty dark colour. It's lifting it up some. I didn't expect it to. Usually once you hit something with the OMS, it's stuck. But that is definitely giving me some options if I decided I didn't want that there. Let's see with the pan pastel. Am I going to be able to lift that? Yes, easily. Nice. Nice. Oh, what's going on there? There's something that is reacted with that. What was that? That was the Intense. That's giving it a pretty cool effect there. Don't know what it was. Ooh! Okay, is that dry? No, it's not dry yet. No, not dry. The OMS dries pretty quickly, but the water clearly doesn't. That's alright. That's to be expected, I suppose. But still very wet. Nothing, I can't see any buckling, anything on that other side. That is flat as a tack. I wonder how far I can push that. Get that right on the edge. Because if it's going to buckle anywhere, that's where it'll be. Really wet that. We'll see what that looks like by the end of the day, hey? Yeah, I didn't put out any warning for this particular live stream because it's been months since I've done this, and of course, the back end of YouTube has changed everything since the last time, so I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be able to get this up and running. But today, I am literally just sitting down with the Lux Archival paper that I have spoilt myself with, and I'm just putting it through its paces and seeing what it can do. So far, I think I'm enjoying the Derwent Lightfast on it. I think that's going to work really well. Oh, hang on, we've got a little bit of buckling happening there. I really loaded this up. This is purely just a little bit of a bend on the corner. So, it's not designed for water. It's not a watercolor paper, so I'm not expecting it to perform absolute miracles. It's just that so far it's been fairly miraculous. What else can we do with this? Alcohol ink. Yeah, how good are new art toys? I just finished uni for the year. All of my assignments are done. I don't have anything I need to be doing, so I thought that I would spoil myself by spending a lot of money on paper. Yeah, ended up being like $60 for the 10 sheets. So it's not too bad, but oh, that's fun. This is just Copic ink. I don't have any other fancy alcohol inks. That's fun. Getting some interesting colour things happening at the edges there. It's getting this purple ring. I wonder what's going on there. I never play with alcohol inks, ever, because I just haven't. I'm a little bit too much of a control freak, but that's fun. I have no idea what I could do with it. I'm tempted to see what's going to happen with just Copics, but I want to be a bit careful because I have a feeling I could really shred the tip of the Copics with this. What's this one? This is duck blue. Yeah. Definitely goes down nicely. But I don't want to do that because I'll just absolutely ruin the tip of that. But you could definitely have a play with that though. They're blending nicely. Blending very nicely. Okay. Well, there you go. Alcohol ink, very much an option. That's almost dry too. Once that ink has evaporated off, then I suppose I could go in with, you know, pencils over the top and draw whatever design I wanted over the top of that. Same as with the Inktense and the watercolor. Okay, that's cool. I will play with that another time, but that was fun. Might have to go buy some alcohol inks. Like I don't have enough art supplies. What else can I do here? We've tried the pastels. I've tried all of the pencils that I own and all the watercolor ones. It's probably time to start having a look at actually doing something, you know, more complete. But now I'm nervous because that did not work the way I thought it was going to work. And I don't think that's going to work with the image that I have planned out in advance. It's just a koala. Okay. So, do I change my plan? Well, I'll definitely be using the Derwent Lightfast and maybe some of the Polychromos for very small details. I'm so tempted to use the watercolor for the background of this now, because that was beautiful. But I don't know how that's going to work with the colour pencils over the top. I think it looks nicer than with the pan pastels kind of, it's a really nice base. It's not as nice as the watercolor though. But is there going to be too much of a textural difference between the two? The pencil and the pan pastel look very... You know what? It's only art. It's only paper. Doesn't matter if it doesn't work, does it? I will use the watercolor. Let's see what happens. The rest of the piece will be with color pencils, because it's a color pencil paper, and that's really what I bought it for. But I am tempted. Am I tempted? No, now I'm second guessing myself. What do you reckon? Watercolor or pan pastel? I'm not very good with watercolor at all. It's a good reason to do it, isn't it? I don't have a mixing tray in here. I feel like I want this to be fairly light in the background. I'm going to put some leaves over the top of this. So anything I don't like the look of, I think I can just draw over the top. Oh, that's so pretty. That just sits so nicely on that surface. I'll try and get some colour variations in here, just so it's not all one tone of green. We'll see what happens with this as well. There seems to be a little bit of resistance happening with the graphite that I put down. Sorry, the transfer paper. The graphite, it's got a waxiness to it, and the watercolor does seem to be sort of resisting going into that area, but it's still looking nice. Hopefully I'm in shot. Hang on. Yep. Yeah, there's definitely a resistance happening there. That's not the paper's fault, that's the transfer paper. I think maybe in the future I will use, instead of using the transfer paper, I might just have to draw it on if I'm going to do it this way with just standard graphite. I don't like doing that because it's messy and I never get the drawing right the first time. Ever, ever, ever. It's never going to happen. There's going to be lots. I'm going to put lots of leaves and stuff over the background here, so all of this can be. Go for a nice darker shade around here. Woo! Too dark. My line work here is also very, very, very messy because of the difficulty I had in transferring that drawing. So I'm having a little bit of an issue there. How far does his ear come down? I'm just going to quickly check my reference photo. Reference photo for this is from wildlifereferencephotos.com. To get back to this image. Yeah, wildlifereferencephotos.com if you would like to find that little picture. When I'm finished here, I will add the link to that particular image. If I can find it, write that down, because I say things on stream and then I forget that I'm going to do them, and yeah. A lot of these leaves in the background are just freestyled on, so I don't really need to be too precious about keeping those. Those lines are just kind of there as placekeepers. A bit of blue in there or something. There's a bit of variation. I don't know if you can see where that's resisting. I don't actually hate that effect, but you can see where I originally transferred that on with the... I think this is going to look really good with the colour pencil over the top. Darken that corner a little bit. I don't want to go too far because, as I've seen on that other sheet, it does buckle if you go a little too crazy. Oh, Lockery Fine Art has gone live, which means I'm here missing out on watching somebody else do art while I do art. Usually on a Thursday. It's the one day that I've been getting a lot of my uni work done, and I've been sitting down and trying to do that, and let's watch live streams at the same time. That's probably not the best way of approaching things. That's okay. I'm not going to mess around too much with this today. I'm not going to try and complete the image. I think what I'm going to do is I'll get this area to a place that I like it. I like the way that the background is kind of doing its own thing to a degree, but I do need a little something to clean this up. There's going to be a lot added to the background of this. Just drying off that edge there so I don't have too much there. Oh, I like that effect though. God, that sits so nicely on this paper. That watercolor I think that has been my favourite thing so far. It looks better than it looks on watercolor paper. It's just so bright and so brilliant. Absolutely stoked with that. I got a sheet of, this is Archer's hot press watercolor paper. It's designed for watercolor. It's what it says on the label. It says with the, that's what it says on the label. But I love the way that colour is sitting on the top of that. Oh, I'm going to have fun with this. I've been playing with some watercolours lately, a lot of the time off screen, to mixed effect. And I'm not very good at it, but that's fun. I like it when I get little art surprises like that. That is fantastic. Starving Artist Collective. Yeah. Look, this is it drying now. I don't know if you were here. I really, really saturated this corner, like really, really saturated. And it does have a little bit of a buckle right on that corner. But otherwise, all of these are wet and it's beautiful. It's sitting completely flat all the way around. I'm so stoked with that. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I'm going to have to send out a little thing on that and go, hey, definitely give that a go. Alright, so while that's drying, I'm going to have to be careful because I'm going to get my hand in that and make a mess. And I really like the way that looks right now. So, I'm going to... First things first, I'm going to lift up a little bit of this graphite on his eye because that's very dark. You see how that just printed perfectly on my kneaded eraser? I'm going to be real careful because I've been caught out with that a couple of times now. Picks up very, very easily. So it's going to be the Derwent Light Fast here. Now, my plan was to do a base coat with the Pan Pastel for his fur the same way I did with the Lima. No, this hasn't faded yet, but it's taking a long time to dry, so it's much more vibrant in colour than in comparison to the Archers, though. I don't know if you can see that. The paper is really glowing underneath that. It's much more muted on this white, and this Archer's paper is whiter than this stuff. And you can see that the marks, this hasn't bloomed out as much, which is usually what I would like because I'm a bit of a control freak and I like things to stay where they're put. But as a background, that's fantastic. That's my daughter running in the door, not realising that I'm live streaming. So, Carly! Sorry. Thank you. It's on the internet forever now. It's on the internet forever now. Yeah, that's beautiful. I much prefer that to the watercolor paper. What I'm going to do, I think, is start with the eyes, because if I don't get very far today, I'm going to at least have that in place. That'll get me excited about working on it later. If I always start working on these things with the eyes, because I just like having that one completed, really, you know, part that I know is worked, and I know I can keep going then. I'm still not sure about what to do with the background though, because if I put the pan pastel down, it's gonna dull this out, and this is looking really bright and vivid and just yummy. So we'll get the eyes in place first. If nothing else, if we get the eyes in place, everything else we will work around. Let's have a look. I need my reference photo at this point. So, excuse me while I'm going to do something that's not exactly fantastic for the camera, for you guys, and just move this a little bit so my hand doesn't end up in here. Let's get the black of that in first. Now this doesn't have as fine of a tip as the Polychromos that I'm used to using for the beginning areas like this. So, but I feel like if I put the Polychromos down, it's going to kind of explode out on me, and I'm going to lose a lot of definition. So I feel like this is going to work a little bit better. Just have to be a little bit. Yeah, no, I'm not enjoying the tip of that. I'm going to try with the Polychromos. Worst thing that happens is I have to tidy it up later. So that's kind of going up to there. He does have a dark ring around his eye. I've never drawn a koala before, so this should be interesting. I might stick with the Polychromos in this really detailed area. And this is the burnt umber. Do I want burnt umber? I might warm it up. Walnut brown. It's a good go-to colour for me. I like it. I'm just going to go into the black here and sort of blend that out some. I do have areas here that he does have a bit of light shine, so we're going to go to my good old favourite. Oh, hang on, I need to move this pencil box, because otherwise that's all you're going to hear is me. I'll have to look off screen. I'll have to go off screen to get my pencils, but at least it won't be jingling and tingling right in your ears, because the microphone's right here. So that's the sky blue, that nice reflective colour. Then what colour am I going to use on the inside here? Something... Now, in my image here that I'm looking at, there's a lot of light in the eye. A lot of the times I really want to warm this up to something like with the like a terracotta color or something, but I don't think that's going to work in this case. I'm going in with the, that's the Kaput Mortum instead. Let's get a bit of highlight color in here. Bit of a highlight here. Okay, so now I'm sort of adjusting to it. I am getting a pretty decent amount of control here. But I do feel this will be very, very easy to smudge. So I'm going to have to be super careful. I'm going to get a grey for his eye. And maybe a bit of a flesh pink. How's this going? It's drying nicely. Hasn't lost any of the colour there. Very, very nice. A surprise of the decade there. I'm so stoked with that. And then he's got a little corner of his eye too. What do I think? What do you guys think? He's got a little bit of a grey rim in here. Now this is going to be very, very fine detail here, so it's going to be interesting to see how this works. I'm using the Polychromos here because they've got that, they hold the tip very, very nicely. And I don't find it's that easy with the Duo and Lightfast to do that. Once I get out of these really, really tiny detailed areas, I'll probably move on to those. I feel like I need to put a little bit. Oh, that is still wet. I'll smudge that. Oops. Now, if I wasn't so impatient, what I would normally do in this case would probably be to stand up, walk away, and come back when this is dry so I don't risk smudging it. But this is all experimental, so it doesn't really matter. We all get to find out together how long it takes. And I'm just using the cinnamon colour around his eye here, and just it's a bit of a I feel like I need something a bit darker. This is burnt sienna, which I'm just going to mix with that. These colours are mixing beautifully together on this surface. I expected them to, but it's also very nice to find out that it's working as I expected. Might get just sorry, I'm going quiet because I'm actually sort of concentrating at this point, but feel free to shout out if you've got any questions. Okay, very, very fine, fine, fine line, just there where it's sort of... Okay, what do I think? Let's do a little zoom in if I can and see if I can show you guys what kind of detail I've managed to get with that. Where is it on this? A bit closer? Is that as close as we can go? Oh, it's not good. We've managed to get quite a lot of detail in there. Might zoom that out just a little bit so I don't lose quality. It's not the best camera on earth. I think that's looking good so far. I might do the same thing again, get the other eye into place, and then I can feel a little bit more reassured. Hang on, I've got an idea. Hang on. Something else to test out. Workable Fixative. Let's see, it's not the stuff that brush and pencil sell, but sorry, I've lost my mind. Okay, nice strong layer, bit of a blended layer. Okay, we'll see if this sort of cements things in place. I'll get that out of the way just in case it makes everything horrible. This is just a standard workable matte fixative, same as you'd use with charcoal, anything, nothing fancy. I'm going to spray it away from the cameras and the computers because let's not ruin that. And okay, so that has changed the texture of what's happening on there. I'm going to say there's... what's in this stuff? It's moving a lot like the alcohol. Okay, let's try a very, very light coat on that corner. Yeah, that has changed how that looks on the paper. It's like it's dissolved the pigment a little bit, which it doesn't normally do on standard paper. Usually, this is just this is the Arches hot press. You're foregoing the vice presidential debates for this. Oh, I can't think of anything worse. I'm so sorry for you guys. I'm sure you'll be able to catch up on the highlights. Yeah. Okay, so this is the Arches hot press. That hasn't changed the texture of that pencil at all with the fixative, but it has very much changed the texture on this Lux Archival paper. So that is... I was thinking I was going to take the fixative and just put a layer down there so this wasn't going to move so much, but I don't think I will now. It's going to change it too much. Oh, what time is it for you guys? I'm so sorry that I only get to stream, you know, at weird times for you guys, being the middle of the night probably. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning here in Australia. It's, you know, sun's shining, everybody's bright and bubbly. Alright, so I'm going to get the other eye into place, but I'm going to just move this so I don't smudge it. I'm going to bring up my reference photo again so that I know what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got a 8. That's not too bad. Okay, so I'm not torturing you guys and only getting the people who are up in the absolute middle of the night. I really hate doing eyes, this further eye. I've really always struggled with the perspective of this eye. Doesn't matter how many times I practice, it always seems to give me just that little bit of trouble. Oh, it does. It sounds like absolute torture. I hate politics. I know it's important, especially at the moment. But, oh my God. I'm kind of the opinion that anybody who thinks they know best well enough to think that they should run for office probably shouldn't do it. Should be like jury duty, where we just send in the best and brightest to make decisions that they don't want to. so that you don't get the egomaniacs and the... Oh, I know. I didn't even think that she was streaming as well. Usually on a Thursday, I'm watching her as well as I work. I just took the first opportunity. This came in the mail, and you know, I just had to. I just absolutely had to come in and jump in. I'm going to use the blue on that corner just because it's going to catch, his eye's kind of catching the light there. A little bit of a tricky. Going to get the black in again. Do you guys like to work along with these live streams? Because that's usually what I'm doing. If somebody's live streaming, I'm usually sort of sitting off in the background drawing my own thing, and it makes the whole experience a little bit more social. Yeah, I'm not that into acrylics either, although I'm trying to be into it. I've got a base layer done. I'm not filming it, but I'm trying. I've kind of, in this, like, I will learn to paint one day. It's just not my friend. Paint is just not my friend. I like the control of the pencils. I like this tiny, tiny little tip that gives me just, you know, that precision. It makes things so much easier for me as a bit of a control freak. I feel like that needs more highlight, so we're going to go in with the white. Ah, oils. Yeah, I'm trying. I've got that ocean painting behind me that's been sitting on the easel for an embarrassing amount of time. Basically the sky's done and that's it. I do enjoy working with oils. They're beautiful, they're messy, they smell good. They, yeah, really do enjoy working with it. I'm not very good at it. Okay, I'm finding that blowing the dust off this is the most effective way to sort of stop that build up, because it is getting it doesn't take very much, like even less than the pastel mat, to build up a ridiculous amount of pigment on the surface here. I'm going to get that pinky tone around his eyes as well. This is starting to dry now, I think. I really can't feel the cold on that anymore. I do have a little bit of it that just transferred to my hand, but I haven't smudged it too badly. Let's see, where's that? This has been dry for a long time on the arches. There's a huge texture difference there. That is, there's a lot more graininess to this, whereas it's so smooth and pretty on this. I'm really happy with that. Yeah, really happy with that. What colour did I use on the other side there? I think I used the burnt umber for sort of deepening up the colour around his eyes a bit. It's mixing nicely with that cinnamon colour. Okay, now I'm just going to take 2 seconds, because I don't generally put down a lot of guidelines before I work, but I think it's going to be probably wise to just take a second. I've got his nose here, but his eyes sort of goes here. I'm going to be very careful. This paper picks up the graphite so easily, so easily. I'll use this scrap piece here. Like, this is feather-light touches, so if I draw normally, this is just a HB pencil, it's just picking up so much. And I only want this to be a guideline. So I need to be very, very careful. Zooming out my reference photo so I make sure I get this right. I'm just looking for a guideline. There's a little bump in his nose, but I'm trying to find something I can line it up with. Top of his mouth there. It's kind of in line with this sort of fattest part of his cheek here, okay. You're not an artist at all, really? Oh, I thought that most people watching this stuff would be, you know, doing their own sort of thing. You just enjoy watching, that's fantastic. Wow, are you ever tempted to pick it up or just not interested? Let's go that way. Sometimes I feel a bit funny on doing these sort of things because I kind of feel like I'm talking to just talking to people who already know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's interesting to hear that you don't work. Oils to me work like color pencils. I love working the Flemish method. What's the Flemish method? I haven't heard of that. A card maker, a scrapbook, a crochet, cross stitch. Ah, they're all things I wish I had time for. Oh, cross stitch. I used to do that when I was really young. I got really sick when I was a kid. I think I spent 6 months off school. And yeah, lots of cross stitching and long stitching. I just don't have time anymore. Oh, and crochet, my mother tried to teach me. She really did. Didn't happen. It didn't happen. Okay, now with his eyes kind of in place, I might get his little nose going. It's kind of everything else I'll be able to work off around there once those two landmarks are in place. It's really just the fur. There's a lot of this cinnamon colour in his nose here. I can see that this particular paper would be very, very good for those artists who like to sort of build up multiple layers. I can feel that a good way to work would probably be to get like base layers and build it up. And I'm pretty sure that's very much how Aliona intended it to be used, but I'm not very good at doing things the intended way. And I am very, very much enjoying using this. But yeah, the smudginess may be an issue as we come further down the line. I need some cooler greys here. Layering and layering, okay. Lots of glazing and sort of things like that. I'm terrible with glazing. I don't know why it just doesn't work for me. Now this is where things are going to get really interesting with the fur texture. I'm really keen to see how the fur texture comes out with this. I'm just getting that darker layer there. I'm definitely going to be able to be a little bit more freehand than I normally would be with this because the texture of that is really sort of working in my favour for that. We need some cool greys. And a Payne's grey. Yep, Payne's grey. Now he's got a lot of texture on his nose. A bit of a highlight here. This is the Payne's Grey I've got here. I think it might be a little too dark. I'm gonna do this kind of carefully following the texture that he's got here. Transparent glazing. Oh, it looks so good. The glazes look really beautiful after you just layer them and layer them up. It just really makes the colours sing, I think. It's just something I'm not very good at doing. Do you have an art page or anywhere where you post your work? I'd love to have a look. Okay, I'm just looking for where the darkest areas of his nose are here, and I'm going to put this down, and then I'm going to build up. What's this one? Coal grey. I feel like I should... My instinct here is to go from darkest to lightest. I feel like that's going to work out best. But we'll see how it sort of builds up with this there's a bit of a blue tone in here. I'm just going to put down a base layer of blue. That should just tint the colours that go over the top. It gets quite light fur down along this side of his nose, so I'm going to be a bit careful here. I am obliterating some of the darker tones underneath here. His nose is quite dark though, so I feel like it's not going to be an issue to go backwards and forwards. You know what I might do? I feel like this would be a good time to have a little play with the odorless mineral spirits. Because brushing with the pencil there, instead of getting a nice sort of fluffy texture, I'm kind of just making a bit more of a mess. So I think if I get a nice base layer down first, then I will be able to add texture once that's in place. This is quite dry. This is quite dry here. I'm being a little bit conservative with the amount, and that is, now that I've got a lot of pigment down, it's moving a lot. I think there's more pigment down here than I put in any of those tests, and it's a little too much. It's a little difficult to control. I'm pretty confident this is the way to go though. Okay. Oh yeah. It's good to post your art on those forums, especially the ones where people are nice to each other. It's always nice to get that feedback, and I really learnt a lot just by sort of being brave enough to post my art on Facebook groups back when I first started using colour pencil. I've been drawing forever, but I'm a lot older than Facebook. Okay, so I'm liking that texture there. Let's see if I can lift up a little bit of colour here. Yes, I can. yeah, this is pretty forgiving. I think if there's anything here I don't like, it's going to be pretty easy to get rid of it. And here I am just going to, where's that Prussian blue that I had? I'm going to go just a little step too far with the blue. Just exaggerate it just a smidgen. Just here. And just here. That's purely artistic license on that. It's not really in the reference photo. And I'm just going to add some texture back here that I've lost with the mineral spirits, because he's got a bit of a fluffy nose. Okay, I'm just using my fingertip there just to slightly soften the edges of the colour that I've put down. Oh yeah, commissions can be awful. I've done a lot over the years, and I can feel how you can get burnt out doing that. Especially with when you get those clients, yeah. Luckily, I never got too many of those over the years, but you get somebody who's like, no, my nose doesn't look like that. You're like, yes, it does. Okay. I feel like there's a little bit too much definition in that, so just knock that back a bit. That's very easy to just shift and move that a little bit. I feel like I've lost too much. Oh, I can see. Hang on. Maybe a little small for me to, I'll look at it later. I don't want to hit the wrong button because I don't know what I'm doing with the back end here, and I don't want to hit the wrong thing and end up accidentally switching everything off or undoing all my settings. Or it's not nice. I only just figured out how to do these live streams, and then they changed the rules on me. Now, there are some very, very fine light hairs that I'm going to put over the top of this, I think towards the end, because they're going to be very, very easy details to lose. I do need darker colours than that. Oh, darker grey again. Yep. Because his fur is quite light grey. Yeah, I did graphite for years, solely graphite. 5 years ago I would have told you I can't use colour. Straight up. Can't use it, don't get it, can't do it. So, yeah. Always could draw, never could colour, really had to study and work towards being able to use colour. Just getting some more of that blue in for just a bit of excitement's sake. Beautiful. Okay, where to next? Oh my goodness, it's 11:45. I'm gonna have to go kind of soon because I've got to go to work. But I'm having fun with this. This is really fun. I might work on the center of his face here and just start getting that area into place. And that should give me a really good idea on how the fur texture is going to work. Now, unlike a lot of animals, like cats and stuff, I don't have a lot of landmarks to help me out on the measuring where the changes of colour in his fur are. So I'm just going to have to do a little bit of marking up here. That's kind of where his face goes darker up there. Above the eye here. Most animals kind of, the shape is not too far different. Koalas are a bit weird, aren't they? That's kind of the shape of his skull in there. Got a little bit of a white line between his eye and his upper lip, as does this side. And then underneath that jawline is where things start to move a little bit brighter and creamier and less grey. So we'll just get that into place, and I'll probably pick up those lines as I go so they don't muddy things up too much. All right, let's go back in, zooming in. And now I'm going to use this much lighter grey along the side here, but what I'm probably going to end up doing is blending this out with the odorless mineral spirits before I get too... Oh! Yeah, look. I'm really impressed with the way that watercolor worked, and I'm really excited to have a bit of a play around with that. Even maybe have a little bit of a play with something a bit more abstract or a bit looser. I think that could be really fun. This could give a really good foundation for some fun things. I'm not going to get too invested in getting the pencil strokes in here because I am going to blend this out with the odorless mineral spirits. And like I saw on the nose, if I had too much down there, it was really hard to sort of get that base layer down. So I'm just going to essentially block in the colours, blend them out, and then I will add the textures. Got a bit of a lighter colour here. Same thing on this other side, it's quite dark here. I'm very just brushing the surface here. So I don't want to get to that point where things got too difficult. What I am doing, these movements are in the direction of the fur because I don't want to fight that later if I can help it. How are the koalas doing since the fires? Koalas are always struggling. There's not enough of them. We have quite a few in our area, there's one actually hanging out at my kids' school at the moment. But they, yeah, things got really bad there at the start of the year. And of course, it's spring now and we've already had our first bushfires for this year. So, not great. The poor little guys, they, with the chlamydia, really knocks them around, and any loss of habitat's just, you know, awful for them. Our guys up here aren't doing too badly. A lot further south was where a lot of things went really sideways. Oh, I'm getting a rumbly belly too, so it's maybe just about time for lunch. Don't know if I'm loving doing it this way. We'll see. I've got a lot of room to move here. There's certainly no risk. I don't feel like I'm trapped or in danger of doing anything that is undoable with this stuff, which is really nice. I'm pretty reassured at this point that if I want to make any changes, I'm going to be able to, which is very, very nice. It's a good feeling because mistakes will be made. It was actually the koala at my kids' school that inspired me to draw this particular image. I've had it in the folder for a while, and I thought this would be a good paper for fur texture. So the white in there, we'll see what happens. So lots of different colours of hair and fur in here. It's a little hard to get the fine lines that I like with the pastel. Like with the pastel mat, you put the lines down and they're very defined. This is certainly not happening here, but I'm liking the effect. Let me have a look through the camera. Usually I have my big DSLR camera up here and I can zoom in and it gives me a really nice sort of distance from what I'm doing. And sometimes, you know, just looking at it through a different set of eyes makes a big difference to seeing if you're on the right track. So I'm going to do a sneaky little, hang on, do the iPhone. And look at it through the eyes of my phone. Always a good trick. If you're feeling a little bit like you're not sure where to go, try taking a photo or give it a go. It just works. I'm not sure if it's the way the brain looks at something. If when you're up and close and you're doing it, you don't really see the forest for the trees, but somehow just stepping back and letting a device do the looking for you makes a difference. That's not light enough. I wonder, what would that be made of to blend the pan pastels colourlessly? I've never tried using the, I didn't know they had one. Is it like a medium, the medium, oh, yeah. Okay, I'm curious. The powder blender has to be some kind of something that kind of lubricates. Something to have it in powder form. I'm not sure what it is. I wonder how that would work. And I do wonder how it works with the pan pastel. A very interesting question, Rhonda. I'll have to have a play with that. Okay. Guess he's placing an order. Which one? Nope, 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 nope. Wrong colour. Okay, what do I think of that? Look, I'm not loving it. I'm not loving the fur texture here. It might... I am getting to about my art limit here. I'm starting to lose focus. It's been about 2 hours since I've been sitting here. And I do have to go to work soon. So I'm going to have to give this a bit of a rest. But where are we going to go from here? What do you reckon, guys? I might have to ditch the Polychromos. And let's have a look, see what happens with the Derwent Light Fast. Because on the sheets of paper that we first started with, that really did work the best, didn't it? Let's have a little... This is the warm grey. It's a beautiful colour. Yeah. Yeah, this is giving me a lot more detail. It's not kind of exploding out as much. And I've got really nice, interesting greys to use. So the Derwent Light Fast has got... I've got a nice purpley grey, a really nice slate grey, a really nice kind of green grey. I think this might be the way to go, guys. Yeah. I'll get the base tones down with the Polychromos, and then I will use the Derwent Light Fast to get those details in. Alright. The Colorless Blender is compressed like the pan pastel, but I think, yeah. I'm just really, really curious to know what it's made of now and how it works. Because I like to know that that's how I understand and that's how I learn things. I understand that the pencil's made out of oil and wax, and I understand that this is a solvent and that's what this is dissolving. My brain just kind of works in that sort of, I need to know what it's made of and how it works, and then I know how I can manipulate it. So now I'm wondering about the pan pastel and the Colorless Blender and the brush and pencil blender and what they're made out of and why they work. Always interesting to learn new things like that. All right. I think I do need to step back now. I'm getting to a point where my brain's just not quite in it and it's time to step back, have something to eat and have a cuppa. But I've really, really enjoyed working on this stuff. The watercolor paint did not expect that. So glad I just sort of on a whim pulled that one out because, yeah, really surprised. So when am I going to work on this again? I'm not sure. I probably won't be able to do this sort of whole thing as a live stream. So yeah, might have to sort of call it a bit of a day here, and I'll work on it again tonight. I think I'm a bit excited now. I'll do that off camera. Thank you everyone for joining me again today. It's been so long. I was a little nervous about getting everything set up and how it was all going to work, but I've had a lot of fun with this piece and I'm so keen to get it done. But I really need to go eat and get ready to go to work. So I'm so keen to get this done. Thank you so much, and I'll do this again really soon. Bye guys.